Hi, I'm Amy Chappell from Amy Rooney Designs. Today's video tutorial is brought to you by Nancy's Notions 2018 Holiday Blogger Gift Guide. Today we're going to show you how to make this gorgeous 27-inch floor pillow. It's a jelly roll pillow, and the texture and feel of this pillow is absolutely amazing. The fabric that we're using today is Wild Bouquet by Riley Blake Designs. Let's get started with this pillow. So to make this pillow, this large floor pillow, you will need a 27-inch pillow form. Now, if you want to make a smaller pillow than this, you can adjust the measurements of the strips that you're cutting. You're just going to cut them 1 inch wider than the size of the pillow form you're going to make. So if you're making a 20-inch pillow, you're going to cut your strips to 21 inches. For today's pillow, this is actually a 26-inch pillow form. We're going to cut our strips to 27 inches to make this pillow. And I think that you'll find you love the size. It's perfect for watching movies, for propping up in your bed. It's just such a fun, weighty pillow. You will also need a 2.5-inch pre-cut strip roll. So Riley Blake calls them roly-polies, Moda calls them jelly rolls. Whatever you call them, you need a bunch of 2.5-inch strips of fabric. It's so easy if you use the pre-cut strips, but you're always welcome to buy yardage and cut down your own strips. You'll also need 2 rolls of this 2.5-inch strip batting. You'll use a full roll and a bit of a second roll. So if you don't want to buy the second roll, you can always use leftover batting from other projects and cut them down into your 2.5-inch strips. But like I said, having pre-cut 2.5-inch strips makes this project faster and pretty easy. So when your strips come off of your roll, they come the width of the fabric, which is generally 42 to 45 inches. So we're going to take our strips off of the roll, pick out which ones you're going to use. You're going to need about 40 strips to make a pillow this size. Once you've picked out the fabrics you want to start with, you're going to cut them down to 27 inches. Now, if you want to conserve some of your longer strips for maybe another project, what I like to do is take the extra, 18 inches or so from each strip, and then we'll join them together later to add some extra strips in to fill out our jelly roll or our 2.5-inch strips that we have. So once you've cut all of your strips of fabric down to 27 inches, you'll also take your roll of batting and cut that down into 27-inch strips also. Once you have all of your strips cut, we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, once you've cut your strips to 27 inches, then you're going to take the leftover parts of 2 of your strips and join them together to create some staggered strips that'll add some interest and dimension to your pillow. So what you'll do is take your first strip and put it right side up. Then you'll take your second strip and put it right side down to create a 90-degree angle. And then you're going to sew across the diagonal on these to join them on the bias. That will give you a nice angle, and it will reduce the bulk in this seam as you're sewing the strips together. So once that's sewn together, you can see right here that I've sewn across that angle. You're going to trim this seam allowance to just under 1/4 inch, and then you'll press open this. And what I like to do is press open this seam with my iron so that it's nice and flat, and then you'll trim down this strip to 27 inches. And I like to vary, kind of where it is. There's not a lot of extra fabric in this strip, but it just adds a little bit of movement to your pillow. Once you have all of your strips ready to go, it's time to start adding our batting. So the first thing you're going to do is lay your strips out wrong side up, and then you're going to take your strip of batting and you're going to put it right on top of the wrong side of your strip. Then you're going to take your 2 long edges and fold them into the middle, and then fold that in half so that your 2 raw edges are tucked inside. You have one side with 1 fold and one side with 2 folds. I like to use the binding clips or Wonder Clips for this so that you're not pinning through so many layers. You'll end up bending a lot of pins if you're doing it with pins. Go ahead and do it with pins if that's what you have on hand. So you're going to keep repeating this process all the way down your strip, adding clips as you go, until you have your whole strip with the binding clips on it. Then you're going to take this strip to your sewing machine and you're going to sew on the edge down this side with the 2 folds in order to create a strip that's fully sewn. So here's my strip. I have it all sewn all the way down. You're gonna do your best to try to keep these two edges lined up as you sew the length of your strip, but there's gonna be a little bit of adjusting and shifting as you go. And don't worry about it, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Once you have all of your strips sewn, the next thing you're gonna do is start getting your strips ready to sew together. So what I like to do when I'm sewing them together is I'll sew one sewn edge and butt it up next to a folded edge so that all of my seams that I've sewn on, all the edges I've sewn on, are on the same side as I'm going down my pillow. So I pin them across to hold them in place. Now you'll notice that these will pull apart, and that's fine. What we're doing here is trying to keep them from shifting like this as you do the zigzag stitch to hold them together. So it just keeps them together and even as it's feeding through your sewing machine a little bit easier. And so that's why I pin them down. So I'll butt two of them together and I'll pin it all the way down the length of the strips. And then you take it to your sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch, a wide zigzag stitch across, making sure that you're catching both sides of this seam all the way down. So what I like to do is chain piece these. So I would start with another set of two and feed those through, and then keep on adding to the groups. Usually I have 2 or 3 groups going at a time. But what you want to make sure that you're doing is not getting your groups so big that they don't sit flat in the working throat space of your machine. So I usually go up to about 5 or 6 in a group, and then I'll start sewing those groups together, making sure that the groups on this side are never too big. You want them to lay flat so that your pillow front lays nice and flat. So once you've sewn all of your strips together, I like to bring it back to my measuring table a couple of times through the process to kind of check the progress and how wide I'm getting. Once you get your piece to 26 inches total, then you're going to bring it to your cutting mat and you're going to square it up to a 26-inch square. So you'll find that as you're sewing the strips together, there will be a little bit of shifting, and that's okay. That's why we added in that extra inch of length so that we can adjust for that and take it off at this point. So once you have your piece squared up, you're gonna create your pillow back using your favorite method. I like to use hidden zippers or a zipper with a flap or an invisible zipper in the bottom seam. Whatever works best for you. You're gonna make your pillow back, and then you're gonna sew around the entire pillow using a 1/2-inch seam allowance. And then you just have to turn it right side out and press your seams really good. You have a lot of bulk in your seams with the batting and the 4 layers of fabric. So you're gonna wanna get to your iron probably with some steam and really get those edges creased as well as you can. But they don't have to be like super crisp because you're gonna throw your pillow form in there anyway, and it's gonna squish out those seams on the sides and make it nice and fluffy and full. So once you have your seam sewn all the way around, you're ready to turn it right side out and enjoy your new pillow. Once your pillow cover is turned right side out, then you can put in your pillow insert or your pillow form. I really like using a down-filled insert for this. It makes the pillow extra soft and squishy, but the front cover that you've made with your jelly roll strips is just nice and firm, and it has such a great feel and texture to it. These pillows are fantastic for watching movies, propping up in bed, or just lounging around. I hope you'll enjoy making a jelly roll pillow of your own.